Anger is a gift. Doesn't seem like it most of the time, but actually it is. Anger is meant to be sort of like an honest friend who tells you there's something which seems to be off about a particular situation, right? So it gives people motivation and energy in terms of putting down evil things in the world. So that's the great thing about anger. At the same time, anger can be problematic, especially when it leads to this desire to destroy other people in this irrational sort of way. So obviously we need to rein that in. But here's the point, right? I was recently listening to a podcast that talked about emotions and anger, and apparently, this was a surprise to me, any given emotion, whether positive or negative, only lasts on average for 30 seconds. Not even a minute, like 30 seconds. So you might be like intensely angry, but actually if you let the thing play out, it only lasts for 30 seconds. And you might reflect on your experience and think, well, that doesn't seem to be true. I'm still angry about this thing which happened years ago, right? And what we tend to forget is that there's an intervening step, right? So you experience the emotion of anger, but then what happens is that we choose to kind of dwell on the thing, to savor it, to relive the experience of pain over and over again, and that's when it becomes something which lasts for hours and days and weeks and months and years. Whereas if you stop and pray into it, Lord, what do you want me to do with the experience of anger? A lot of times, if you think about it, the Lord calls you to just let it go. Or more accurately, to surrender it to Him. But therein lies the rub, right? So a lot of times when we hear that, okay, let this thing go, what we tell ourselves is like, look, if I correspond to this invitation to let go of this experience of anger, is it an admission of defeat? Am I saying to the Lord and to myself in a certain sense that, gosh, I'm like, this didn't matter. This experience of injustice didn't matter. My life doesn't matter. So a lot of times that's how we frame it. But the way to look at it is that I'm not surrendering this thing to the abyss. I'm surrendering this to God, to fight the battle that He doesn't call me to fight. That's why there's this really great expression in the book of Exodus. Remember how the Israelites are freaking out because the Egyptian army is in hot pursuit. And what does God say to them through the prophet Moses? Be still and know that I am God. And so the Lord is fighting all sorts of battles that we can't fight, that He doesn't call us to fight, because He alone can bring about the victory.